Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission today is pretty laser focused. We are preparing you, the listener, to navigate the world of buying and selling precious metals and high value gems right in your local area of Allen, Texas, and across Collin County with absolute confidence.
And that's so important. This is a marketplace where knowing just a few key facts can save you thousands of dollars. Or, on the flip side, ensure you get the maximum value for an asset you've held for years.
Yay.
Whether you're tracking global financial movements for gold bullion or trying to understand the complexity of diamond certification, this deep dive provides that essential knowledge shortcut. We're drilling down into valuation, regulation, and liquidity right here in North Texas.
And to give us that really specific local context and expertise, we are drawing heavily on the practices of a truly trusted local source. This deep dive is informed by the standards of the Allen Gold and Silver Exchange. They're expert appraisers, handling everything from diamonds and antique jewelry to, raw gold, coins, luxury watches, and other precious metals.
And their reputation is just critical in this industry. They are a top trusted jewelry buyer and seller in Texas, USA, and that's backed by strong 5-star reviews. They provide immediate payment and expert valuation.
That's key.
Yeah. And if you have any questions about the value of your asset, even if you decide not to sell, you can give them a confidential call at 469-403-8356.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we get tactical about, Collin County appraisals, we have to establish the macro foundation. Why is owning physical gold and silver? I mean, why is it considered such vital wealth today? We all know paper money has a shaky history, but why is gold the default crisis insurance?
It's all rooted in history and economics, really. Gold has the properties of real money. As the sources point out, if you just look at the U.S. dollar, it lost approximately 33% of its purchasing power between 2000 and 2012.
33%, wow.
Yeah. And during that exact same 12-year window, gold climbed significantly. It soared from below $300 an ounce to over $17.90. That is a powerful hedge against fiat currency devaluation.
That's just a staggering swing. But, you hear a lot of high net worth advisors suggest keeping gold allocation below, say, 5% of a total portfolio. Why isn't it viewed as more of a growth asset if it performs so well during that period?
That's a really important distinction. Gold is viewed as a preservation asset, not a growth engine.
Yeah.
It rarely generates income, but it preserves capital when other assets like stocks or real estate are collapsing or when inflation is just soaring.
Okay.
It holds fundamental value because it has characteristics that paper money just lacks. It's divisible, it's portable, incredibly durable, consistent worldwide, useful in industry, and it's the most important part. No government can just create it instantly to pay off debts.
Right. It takes actual labor to get it out of the ground. You can't just print your way to a new gold mine.
Precisely. Its supply is inherently limited and very difficult to increase rapidly.
And we should probably bring in the silver angle here. Silver mining goes back to at least 3000 BC, so its importance predates almost every modern nation-state. What's the fundamental difference in the value proposition between gold and silver for the average person?
Well, silver is often called the poor man's gold, but I think that's a bit reductive.
Yeah.
Silver is actually far more volatile because of its heavy use in industry. Gold is primarily a monetary metal. Silver is both monetary and industrial. You find it in solar panels, microchips, medical equipment.
All sorts of things.
Yeah, so when the industrial economy runs hot, silver often outperforms gold. But that historic pattern you mentioned, where bad paper money forces out good metallic currency, you see that constantly with silver. In the 1960s, the U.S. had to eliminate silver from coinage because the value of the silver in the coin was actually worth more than the coin's face value.
The metal itself was worth more than the number stamped on it.
Correct. And what's fascinating here is that for the average person starting out, if they're investing in precious metals, physical bullion should be where their first dollar goes. And for gold, the U.S. Gold Eagle is really the consensus starting point. It's the most widely recognized and traded gold coin in the world. It just represents pure liquidity.
Okay, let's pivot that macro view right down to a local scale. Let's talk about what a resident walking into a local exchange in Allen, TX should expect, whether they're selling an asset or maybe seeking a loan.
Sure. A local exchange, like the Allen Gold and Silver Exchange, typically operates as a licensed dealer, and they often offer secured loans, also known as pawns, using personal property as collateral. Or they'll just buy your items outright.
And what are the common items?
They commonly accept high-value items, jewelry, gold, silver, other precious metals, and luxury watches. The process is straightforward, but the valuation part is absolutely key.
So if I bring in a handful of old gold rings, maybe a few are even broken, how does the broker actually figure out the price I get?
It's a combination of objective measurement and deep expertise.
Yeah.
The broker starts with a mix of valuation tools, guidebooks for specific coin types, catalogs for antique settings, and of course current commodity spot prices pulled right from the internet.
Okay.
They calculate the intrinsic metal value. For gold, silver, or platinum, even if the jewelry is broken, they'll weigh the metal and use the current market price for that specific carat or purity.
And how do they confirm that purity? Because you hear all these stories about people trying to pass off fake gold. What kind of testing methods are being used locally in Collin County?
That's where the high-level expertise comes in, and it's essential for the buyer's protection. The oldest method is the acid test,
Right.
which involves rubbing the metal on a stone and applying specific acids to see the chemical reaction, which tells you the carat. It's accurate, but it is destructive. It leaves a tiny scratch.
Not ideal for a nice piece.
Not at all. The best, most modern approach used by reputable dealers is X-ray fluorescence, or XRF analysis.
XRF. Tell me more about that.
XRF is completely non-destructive. The machine shoots X-rays at the metal, and the atoms of the metal then emit secondary X-rays that are characteristic of specific elements. Gold, copper, zinc, whatever's in there.
Wow.
And this gives the broker a precise percentage breakdown of the alloy, confirming the exact carat without damaging the item at all.
Mm-hmm.
If you're selling substantial gold, you should really look for a dealer who uses XRF. It shows they've invested in accurate, non-destructive testing.
That is a phenomenal insight for our listeners. Okay, so let's look at the two options the exchange offers. Selling outright versus seeking a loan.
If you sell outright, the transaction is instant. You hand over the item, and you receive cash based on the determined value. Simple. If you choose a loan, the item becomes collateral. And here the broker assesses two things: the item's value and the likelihood that you, the customer, will actually return for it.
And here's where the psychology comes in. Why does the broker care if I come back? Wouldn't they rather just get the valuable asset cheaply?
Not necessarily. The core business model of a licensed pawnbroker is actually the interest earned on the loan. They want the loan to be recovered and the interest paid.
Ah, okay.
So they actually prefer items the customer deeply values and is motivated to redeem. If you bring in an irreplaceable family heirloom or, say, a personally engraved luxury watch, they might see that as far more reliable collateral than, a generic electronic device you could replace at any big box store.
That makes perfect sense. The personal connection is the real collateral.
Exactly. They know you want it back.
Now, if I am selling a valuable antique piece, what are the critical steps I have to take to make sure I'm dealing with a legitimate, regulated business?
The first absolutely non-negotiable step is compliance. Any legitimate transaction, whether it's a loan or a sale, requires you to present a valid state-issued or federally issued ID. That means a current driver's license, a passport, or a state ID card.
And why is that so important?
It's a critical regulatory step required by local law enforcement to ensure the item isn't stolen property. If a shop isn't asking you for ID, that is an immediate, massive red flag. You should just walk out.
That transparency is so key. And as we've mentioned, the Allen Gold and Silver Exchange is a licensed and accredited jewelry buyer. They offer both immediate payment and trade-in options for everything from bullion to diamonds and luxury watches. If you have any concerns about valuation or compliance, calling them at 469-403-8356 really is your best first step. Okay, let's shift our deep dive now, away from the raw metal and into stones. When you move into gems and jewelry, the value range is it's astronomical, from inexpensive colored stones up to multi-million-dollar rare finds. How do you, the learner, avoid being completely overwhelmed by that variation?
This is where verification and standardization are everything. The difference between a certified stone and an uncertified stone is very often the difference between thousands of dollars and almost zero liquidity.
Okay, so before we even get into that, what's the fundamental terminology we need to know before we start talking about decolor flawless diamonds?
The foundation of all diamond valuation is the 4 C's: cut, color, clarity, and carat weight.
Right.
Cut refers to the diamond's proportions and how well it reflects light. That's what creates the sparkle, the brilliance. Color ranges from D, which is colorless and most valuable, down to Z, which is a light color. Clarity is the presence or absence of inclusions or blemishes, and carat is simply the weight. You have to understand how those 4 factors combine to determine the final value.
That clears up the basics. So when we talk about certification, how do we distinguish between, reliable proof and just some worthless piece of paper?
The true value of a gem relies so heavily on gold standard third-party certification. You should always seek out GIA-certified diamonds. The Gemological Institute of America, or GIA, is recognized globally as the most stringent and consistent grading body.
And others aren't as reliable.
Well, we know from market data that diamonds certified by less reliable labs, like EGL for instance, consistently grade stones too leniently. That means those stones result in much bigger losses when you eventually try to sell them to a reputable dealer. The GIA certificate is often the asset's most critical component.
So, when someone walks into a jeweler, how should they decide if they're buying for an investment or just for, aesthetic pleasure? Because you mentioned those highly technical specs.
It's a completely different conversation you need to have.
Yeah.
If you are seeking pure investment potential, you are prioritizing rarity. The highest possible grade, like a D-color, flawless VVS, a stone with inclusions so tiny they're difficult to see even under 10 power magnification.
Right, stuff you can't even see with your own eye.
Exactly. That rarity holds value because of its scarcity. But if you're seeking beauty or wearable art, you can drop slightly lower in clarity and color, maybe a VS2 or a G color, and get a stunning look for significantly less money. Your jeweler needs to know your priority right away.
And what if you own a fine piece of jewelry and decide to sell it? Does the entire finished ring or necklace hold the same value as the loose gem inside it?
Generally, no. The value is heavily concentrated in the stone itself, not the mounting. Most sellers get a much better return on investment for the loose diamond or gemstone than they do for the entire finished piece.
Why is that?
Because the initial retail markup on the metal setting, the little accent stones, and the labor, that all virtually disappears the moment you walk out of the store. A smart buyer assesses the stone. A smart seller understands they're selling the raw asset, not the finished product.
That brings us back to finding the right local dealer who offers support after the sale. It's not just about that one transaction, is it?
Absolutely not. Especially in the independent jewelry market, the relationship extends far beyond that first payment. You should look for shops that offer comprehensive aftercare services. Reputable independent jewelers frequently provide things like free cleaning for life and annual service checks.
And those checks are important.
Oh, they're crucial. They're for ensuring the setting is secure so you don't lose a valuable stone because of a loose prong.
And for anyone in Allen making a major purchase or, entrusting a valuable family asset, I assume the digital homework is critical.
It is essential due diligence. In today's market, trust is built digitally before you ever step foot inside a store. You should be checking the company's licensing and their reputation. Checking online reviews, like the excellent 5-star reviews for the Allen Gold and Silver Exchange, provides that assurance that you're dealing with a transparent, established partner in the Collin County community.
That was a tremendous dive into the specifics. You've given us both the macro context and the micro-tactical details for the local market. So let's summarize the key takeaways for the Allen and Collin County resident looking to confidently buy or sell.
First, when you're dealing with metals, understand the concept of liquidity. Assets like the U.S. Gold Eagle coin offer transparency and immediate value. When selling, you should insist on working with dealers who use modern, accurate testing methods like XRF analysis to ensure you're getting paid fairly for the exact purity of your metal.
Second, in the gem world, certification is paramount. Know the 4 C's and make sure any diamond you buy or sell is backed by verifiable gold standard certification, specifically GIA. That is your proof of value.
And third, be prepared for a legitimate, high-level transaction. Whether you are seeking a loan or an outright sale of a valuable asset, bring your valid state or federally issued ID. This compliance is a sign of a safe, regulated, and trustworthy operation. Choosing a local, reputable business in Allen means transparency and immediate liquidity, which is exactly what you want when dealing with crisis assets like physical gold.
So if you are ready to move forward with your valuables, whether you're selling, appraising, or trading, we encourage you to visit the trusted local expert in Allen TX.
That would be the Allen Gold and Silver Exchange. They appraise virtually all your high-value assets, including precious metals, gems, luxury watches, and antique jewelry. They are located at 550 S. Waters Ard Suite 164, Allen, TX 75013. And you can call them to discuss your items in the appraisal process at 469-403-8356.
Now, here's a final provocative thought for you to mull over as you consider building your wealth preservation strategy. When the U.S. government implemented the 1933 gold confiscation order, citizens were specifically allowed to keep their gold jewelry. So if you are looking at pure investment security, consider if holding some of your investment-grade wealth in the form of 24-karat, high-purity jewelry might offer an unexpected layer of protection for your real wealth compared to just holding simple bullion bars or coins.